afternoon, everyone. I'm Celine and I will be presenting this webinar. Before starting, let me tell you how to use the different options available during this session. On the right of your screen, there are two boxes, chat and question. In the chat, you will be able to share your thought, your comments, and the DELABIE team will be more than happy to help you here. In the question section, you can ask questions that our specialists will answer individually. At the end of the webinar, we'll pick the most common question and answer them for everyone. Now, let me introduce you to DELABIE. DELABIE is a French manufacturer of water controls, accessories and sanitary ware, specializing in non-domestic buildings. It's a family business founded in 1928 by the current owner's grandfather, Georges DELABIE, in Fréville, a town in the north of France. Today, DELABIE is a market leader in Europe and exports to over 90 countries from its factory in France and through its 9 subsidiaries. Being organized by DELABIE UK, we are pleased to welcome UK, but also people from all around the world who are joining us for this presentation. And we're here today with Siven. Hi, Siven.
Hi, Celine.
Who is Marketing and Communication Manager at DELABIE UK. The subject of this webinar is hygiene and overconsumption of water, what the health crisis has shown us. Before we keep going, Siven, can you tell us in a bit more details what types of buildings and places we're talking about?
To make it simple, when we talk about public buildings, we're speaking about all the places we visit outside of our homes. This includes public and private buildings which receive clients and users on their premises. Places like schools, restaurants, shopping centres, cinemas, airports, offices and healthcare facilities.
Okay, so anywhere outside of the home setting?
Exactly.
And focusing on washrooms, what are the specific issues facing public buildings?
We have to take into account that there's a high turnover and wide variety of users. At home, there are fewer users, and it's usually just the same group of people, whereas in public washrooms, hundreds of different people can use these washrooms. The installations will therefore be bigger and used more. Some factors, like installation time, limited servicing, reduced and simplified maintenance, are key because they can cost the project owner a lot. For users, comfort, ergonomics, safety and hygiene are key elements. Public washrooms play a big role in a building's image. This is why we need to take special care of these spaces.
So, in terms of hygiene, what should users watch out for in public buildings?
There are 2 levels of risk that have been identified in public buildings. The first is user hygiene and the possibility of touching contaminated surfaces and coming into contact with different bacteria or viruses. And the second is water system hygiene and the possibility of bacterial development in stagnating water. When this water is later used, it could potentially infect users.
And what about user hygiene? What are the risks for someone using a washroom in a public place?
It's not news to anyone that our hands are ideal carriers of pathogens. As soon as we touch an object, a light switch, a door handle, a control lever on a tap, we risk coming into contact with thousands of different types of bacteria and viruses. 80% of infections are transmitted by either touching contaminated surfaces or objects and then touching our faces with our hands. And it's estimated that we touch our faces with our hands 23 times every hour. So you can see the risks involved with using public washrooms. This issue isn't new. At DELABIE, we've known about this for decades. The health crisis hasn't revealed anything that we didn't already know, even if the situation has helped to bring it to everyone's attention. We're now more aware than ever of the importance of hand hygiene. This is even more true when we're away from home in public buildings where the turnover of users is a lot higher. The WHO, the World Health Organization, recommends washing hands for 40 to 60 seconds as often as is needed and at least once an hour.
And I can imagine that these changes in users' habits have consequences that we're not immediately aware of.
That's right. By washing our hands more often and for longer, we significantly reduce the risk of transmitting germs via hands. But we often forget about the direct effect this has on water consumption. We know that drinking water is used more and more, making it more scarce. Global water consumption has increased by more than double over the last 40 years. Numerous countries regularly suffer from a lack of access to drinking water. So if we're washing our hands more often, with taps running for longer, then the impact on the environment and our bills will be even bigger. However, when we wash our hands, 70% of the time is spent applying soap. So if during this whole phase we're using a conventional tap, the water flow is wasted.
I can see how important it is to choose a suitable product. How does DELABIE deal with both of these problems, hygiene and overconsumption of water?
In order to prevent any risk of germs spreading by hands, the best option is hands-free products. Electronic DELABIE taps and mixers enable an optimal level of hygiene. No manual contact is needed to operate them. The water only starts flowing when hands are placed underneath the tap and stops when they're removed. The user is therefore completely protected from manual transmission of germs. Our electronic solutions also optimise water consumption. Automatic shut-off when hands are removed prevents any risk of waste. Water only flows when hands are first placed under the tap, and then at the end when they're rinsed, unlike conventional taps where it continues to flow during the whole phase of soaping. Another important point is that our basin controls are preset at 3 litres per minute. Conventional taps can be opened by users at 6 litres per minute or even more. Our solution's specific features enable water savings of up to 90% compared to conventional taps. And we can go even further by reducing our basin controls to 1.5 litres per minute to score maximum points with eco-labels such as BREEAM and LEED.
And what exactly does this mean for buildings?
At DELABIE, we carried out a study at our head office and production site where there's a wide variety of different people working every day. Office and factory staff, R&D engineers. We installed meters in each of our washrooms to measure the impact in terms of water saving and consumption in each of these washrooms, which were of course fitted with electronic controls and taps. When you look at the results compared to conventional taps, you can see the extent to which water saving is important. We save 10,000 litres of water per day. On top of this, we made significant energy savings. If you use less water, then of course you're going to use less energy to heat this water. Our site isn't the largest of commercial buildings. Only 270 users, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You can imagine the savings that could be made in a larger commercial building.
It's not just taps and mixers that we don't want to come into contact with. Personally, I will be avoiding to touch any toilet controls. So what about these types of control in a public place? Are the issues the same?
Well, yes. If we're looking to avoid touching basin controls to a maximum, then of course we'd like to touch WC controls even less. But if flush controls are going to go without being used, there are going to be consequences in terms of hygiene. Not just for the sanitary ware, but also for the water system. There are going to be issues with blocked pipe work, bad smells, upset users who find dirty toilet bowls. It's because of all of this that automatic flushing is even more important for users than it is for specifiers.
And what solution do you have for this situation?
We've developed our hands-free solutions for urinals and WCs, preventing any risk of germ spreading by hands. Urinal and toilet flushing is carried out automatically each time a user leaves, meaning that the toilet bowl is always left clean. Let's look at the example of urinals. By using just the right amount of water after each use, the level of hygiene is optimal for all users. In order to find the ideal balance between efficacy and water savings, the water volume supplied should be right for the urinal size. On our electronic valves, this setting can be adjusted on each model and provides up to 60% water savings. DELABIE has also developed a high-frequency mode, capable of detecting periods of intensive use and adapting the rinse volume accordingly. For example, imagine usage at half-time in a football stadium. During this period, the volume of water is reduced in order to simply rinse the bowl between each use. At the end of the period of intensive use, at the end of half-time that is, an additional rinse is carried out to provide a full clean of the urinal and renew the water in the pipework and the trap. Our goal is always to combine hygiene and water savings. Okay,
that's great for urinals, but being a woman, what about toilets?
We have similar systems for WCs. It's also possible to set the flushing system's flow rates depending on the size and type of the bowl. These systems are compatible with all models on the market, and particularly rimless ones. Their operation with hands-free automatic flushing guarantees that there's a flush after each use. Hygiene is therefore guaranteed. The bowl is always left clean. Furthermore, we have exclusive direct flush systems that are a lot more reliable and durable than cisterns. Don't forget that in a cistern there are 7 to 9 litres of stagnating water, providing ideal conditions for the build-up of scale and impurities. This quickly leads to leaks in the mechanisms. It's estimated that in public buildings, 1 out of 3 of these mechanisms has a leak. Even a small leak can account for hundreds of cubic metres of potable water wasted every year. These systems, originally designed for domestic use, are responsible for significant maintenance and servicing costs, which won't prevent overconsumption of water. Our flush systems operate without cisterns. Their design has been made to withstand intensive use. The guaranteed lack of leaks significantly reduces water consumption. We've also developed an automatic rinsing program. This system can detect whether a large or a small flush is required depending on use. This enables the right level of water consumption depending on need and prevents waste while guaranteeing maximum hygiene. To complement these intelligent features, we have a wide range of designs. These are on all of our water controls and flush systems. For quite a while now, we've noticed a big improvement in the design of public washrooms. Washrooms have become key for the image of public buildings. Hygiene and appearance are paramount. Careful consideration of water and energy consumption have become fundamental.
We've spoken a lot about user hygiene and the solution to meet the needs. But you mentioned earlier that we can encounter issues as well for bacterial development in the systems. How can we fix this?
In potable water systems, under certain conditions, bacteria can develop. One of the most well-known ones is Legionellas, which can cause lung infections. This is caught by inhaling aerosolized liquids created by showers, taps, or even toilet flushes. When buildings go unused for extended periods, large quantities of water can stagnate in the pipework, therefore allowing bacteria to develop. Under normal circumstances, this could be closed washrooms during holidays, but over the last year during the health crisis, entire sectors have been affected by this issue. Some public buildings were forced to close during quarantine. Airports, restaurants, cinemas, hotels, and for a number of months. Consequently, many public buildings have suffered contamination of their water networks. This can also pose a risk to user safety and lead to significant costs for buildings. They'll have to carry out thermal and chemical shocks, and don't forget about the negative consequences these actions can have. Public buildings are large by definition. There can be hundreds or even thousands of meters of pipework. This can mean potentially hundreds of cubic meters of stagnating water.
And have you developed any special technology to face these issues?
Yes, we have a few different levels of response. The first level of response, and the most important one, is an intelligent duty flush. All DELABIE electronic controls are fitted with one. A 60-second automatic flush triggered every 24 hours after the last use. This technology prevents prolonged water stagnation, and it also prevents the development of bacteria in water systems. Therefore, the water is clean and safe even after prolonged periods of building closure. Remember, the duty flush is every 24 hours after last use, and not every 24 hours. If it were to flush every 24 hours regardless of when it had last been used, it might flush straight after someone had used the control. There's no advantage in terms of hygiene for it to do this, and it's also a clear waste of water. The other advantage of this system is that it operates at each point of use. This means that each part of the pipework is rinsed, and not just the main loop. The second level of response is for WCs. In a water network, where traditional flush devices with cisterns are installed, around 7 to 9 litres of water are stagnating in the system. And in a cistern, there are deposits of impurities and scale build-up, which provide ideal conditions for bacteria to develop. For an office block with 200 WCs spread out across its different washrooms, that's 1,800 litres of water stagnating in the water system. And furthermore, it's stagnating at the perfect temperature, which we all know is room temperature, for bacteria to develop. It's therefore a real problem in terms of hygiene. We've been developing WC flush devices without cisterns for years. This is known as direct flush. It's directly connected to the network, therefore removing the need to have 7 to 9 litres of water stagnating at each point of use. Therefore, there's no bacterial development.
Okay, but there is a lot of electronic controls on the market. What should we choose DELABIE ones?
We're specialists. Every day we meet project owners, project managers, estates and maintenance managers, installers. We're in constant contact with the market. We don't only take into account user comfort and safety, but also issues like reducing installation time, limiting servicing and maintenance, making it easy as possible, and also creating designs which fit in with all types of public buildings and can withstand intensive use and vandalism, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. We design and manufacture all of our electronic solutions ourselves, meaning that we can take advantage of the latest technology and meet all of the requirements of public buildings. For example, our electronic controls optimize water consumption. As we saw earlier, they enable the amount of water used to be limited to only what is needed. Furthermore, they use low levels of energy. We have the latest electronic technology, including a microprocessor, which continuously controls energy consumption, adapting it to use. To give you an idea, if we take the example of a Tempomatic 4 tap installed in a motorway service station with around 280 uses a day across a year, the electricity consumption is about the same as an energy-efficient LED light bulb switched on for just 10 minutes. That's right, just 10 minutes. With DELABIE, you'll only need to change batteries every 3 to 6 years in public buildings. If you have an electronic control that isn't optimized for public buildings, you'll be changing batteries every few months.
And what about maintenance and installation?
Easy. Let me explain. In terms of installation, for our Tempomatic 4 tap, we have an optimized miniature system which allows us to fit all of the technical elements inside the tap body. Sensor, solenoid valve, batteries, everything's inside. There's no need to fit anything under the basin, unlike a lot of battery-operated controls on the market. And installation is therefore very easy, which is a huge advantage to public buildings that are looking to upgrade their washrooms quickly and simply. Also, to save time, maintenance is accessible from the top of the tap. So like I said before, there's no need to do anything underneath the basin. No need to isolate the supply, no need to remove the tap. You can easily change the batteries and the electronics. This is important because in a public building, there's not just 1 or 2 points of use. There could be tens, hundreds, or even thousands. We're one of the only manufacturers on the market to offer a 10-year warranty on all of our electronic controls. And as all of our products are designed with ecological design principles, they have to last. These features can be found across all of our hands-free ranges.
Okay, but I suppose that all of these different features must increase the price.
Not really. 1, we're competitive on the market. And 2, public buildings are designed to be managed over the long term. So you have to take into account the overall cost of washroom fittings. This is why our products are designed to reduce costs linked to installation time, servicing, or maintenance. They are designed to last too, therefore reducing replacement costs. Finally, the water and energy savings that they guarantee ensure a return on investment within a few months.
Thank you for explaining everything to us. We're coming at the end of our conversation. Siven, can you summarize up to us the main points?
To summarize, the issue of hygiene in public buildings isn't new, but it has been highlighted by the current health crisis. Protective measures have become part of our daily habits. There will be a world after COVID, and public buildings are going to have to adapt. They're going to have to guarantee user hygiene. They're going to have to guarantee the hygiene of water networks in the event of building closure. But all of this has a cost in terms of potable water consumption. The challenge will be significant because this resource is precious and consumption is only going to increase. This is why we have to consider the environment when designing washrooms, providing durable solutions that are reliable and only deliver the right amounts of water. DELABIE solutions have a number of features which enable public buildings to best prepare themselves to face these challenges.
Thank you, Siven, for your time today and all the explanation, and thank you for joining us for this presentation. We'll see you next time for our next seminar.